Hey, it's Joyce.
And Mufaro here.
In today's video, we are going to talk about potential earnings in home care business.
That's right. This is another question that we got from one of our potential students. And this person was trying to figure out how much money they could potentially make if they started their own agency. And I know this is a question that anybody would have. You know, if I invest, let's say $8,000 or $10,000 into this business, can I make this money back? The answer is absolutely yes and more. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that I was very curious about. I was curious about why most of our students are West African. And I asked you this question, right?
Yes, I remember.
And I said, why is it that most of our students are Nigerian? And what is it about Nigerians? Even though we get calls from both from West Africans, Caribbeans,
Americans,
East Africans, African Americans, we get calls from everybody.
Right.
Why is it that the people that decide to invest and pull the trigger on working with us and investing in their education and starting this business and becoming serious in this business are West Africans? So I did a little bit of research and I discovered something that surprised me, and it goes against conventional wisdom that we hear all the time, that, oh, you know what, Caucasian Americans, white people are the ones that make the most money in America.
It used to be, I guess, back in the days.
I guess years back.
But
yeah.
It's not the same anymore.
Yeah, and of course, this information we're going to give you is rooted in facts, not emotion.
Yes.
So we're going to put a link, or just go to Wikipedia and just research this information yourself, and you'll know that what we're telling you is true.
It's true.
And again, it's not rooted in any emotion.
Right.
It's rooted in truth and facts.
Yes. Numbers don't lie.
Numbers don't lie, and here are the numbers. So, I looked up the household income by ethnicity in the United States.
Yes.
And this information is available on Wikipedia, like I said. It's census data. So when they run a census, I think they ran a census last year,
yes,
2020.
That's right.
And they collected data on where people live, how much money they make, and all this stuff. And right at the top 3, household income. This means that the people that make the most money by ethnicity.
That's right.
The top 3, number 1, right at the top, this is not surprising, the Jewish community. I was not surprised by that.
No, not at all.
Yeah?
Yes, because that's living in New York. I noticed that a lot of the Jewish people in New York are business owners, and they're successful business owners.
Even like
agencies, the home care agencies, most of them are owned by the Jewish. Then when you come to Manhattan, most of those buildings in Manhattan are owned by the Jewish people.
Yeah, and there are not a lot of them, by the way.
Yeah.
They're concentrated in small pockets of country. So if you don't live in these little concentrated pockets where the Jewish community lives, the big cities like New York, LA, Chicago, even there's a Jewish community in Atlanta. So if you don't research that we did, you will never get to know this. You'll just be operating on what your media tells you, what fake news tells you. You've never actually seen it.
Yes.
Us as New York natives, we lived in New York for a long time.
Yes.
And we're in Atlanta now. We know this for a fact.
Right.
Jewish people have money.
They do.
No question about it. I don't think anybody can question that.
No.
Right? This one was actually another surprise.
It was a surprise.
The Indians. The Indian community becomes number 2 of the people that make the most money by household income in this country.
Yes.
And think about it, it shouldn't be a surprise, and here's why. Every time I go see a dentist, doctor, 9 times out of 10, actually, majority of the time, they are of Indian descent.
That's right.
Right? In the medical field. If you're a nurse, if you're in the medical field,
they took over the medical field.
You know this.
Yes.
You know this already. Like the Dr. Patel's, your dentist is what?
Dr. Patel.
There you go. And it's very fascinating.
It is. My doctor, my primary physician was Dr. Singh, Indian.
India.
Way back when I was younger, like really young, I had some relatives who went to India as well to study there for medicine, because India has some of the best.
They have some of the best doctors.
Schools, medical schools. I meant.
Yeah. And even like in the field that I specialize in, which is digital marketing and digital media and corporate America for a long time.
Yes.
That makes sense because when you look at the business owners in the tech field, they're all Jewish.
Yes.
And do you know who the operators are? They're all Indians.
Yeah, they're good at IT.
Yes.
That's right.
The Indians are the ones that are doing operations on the back end, and they get paid good money.
That's right.
Literally, like I can think about all the corporate jobs that I used to have in New York, right? Almost all the head of technology was an Indian person. And what they would do is they would outsource some of that work back to India.
Wow.
So they would not hire people here, they'll just outsource it to India.
It's cheaper.
Yeah. So that makes sense that why those two.
Yes.
It totally makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
So they dominate in the medical field.
Yes.
They dominate in the healthcare field.
Yes.
And the home health care field, they dominate too.
Yes.
I'm willing to bet that there's some people that are going to watch this and be like, oh, the person that owns the agency that I work at is Jewish.
That's
you know, amazing.
It's amazing.
Number 3.
Yes.
Go ahead, you want to say something?
Number 3. No, I just wanted to go ahead and say number 3.
Sure.
People from Taiwan.
Yeah, number 3, Taiwanese. Absolutely. And this one was a little surprised, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah?
I was thinking maybe Koreans would
That's what I thought.
in. Or even Chinese.
Even Chinese and Koreans, I thought they'll be in the top 3, but you know what? Taiwanese are really like Chinese.
They're related.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to anybody that's Taiwanese that's going to watch this, but let's keep it real. Like, you're pretty much the same people, right? Right? Yeah. You're the same people. It's like...
They're cousins.
They're cousins.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody says Tanzanians and Kenyans. Yes, they're 2 different countries.
Actually, a good example is
what's
Burundi.
A better one?
Burundi and Rwanda.
Rwanda. They're the same people.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're from Africa, you would know that. The reason why the Taiwanese was a little surprising is because most of the successful Asian-owned businesses in this country, they're run by Chinese. I didn't know the Taiwanese were dominating like that.
I didn't know either. I was very surprised to see them on the top.
Koreans didn't even come in the top 10.
Yes.
You know? And do you know who else didn't come in the top 10?
Who else?
White people.
Oh, yeah.
Caucasian Americans did not come in the top 10. I think they were like number 26.
Yeah, I think Australians did come.
Australians?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess we could...
Australian Americans.
Fine. Yes, so Australian Americans came in the top 5.
Top 5, yes.
Yeah, for sure. I guess that counts for that.
That's right.
But when you look at English Americans, they were not in the top 10. German Americans were not into top 10.
Yeah, pretty much this list is mostly comprised of Asians. Filipinos will come in number 4.
Yeah, Filipinos were number 4.
Yes.
That's amazing, right?
Then I think it's followed by, I believe, Koreans.
Koreans, okay, all right.
And Bangladesh is somewhere.
Bangladesh is there somewhere.
Yes. That
makes sense because a lot of Bangladeshis own a bunch of restaurants and big businesses, distribution business, not just restaurants, actually that's a stereotype. They own, like when you look at Indians and even Bangladesh, they own a bunch of 7-Elevens.
7-Elevens, that's so true.
Think about it.
Yes. Even in Africa, for those that are coming from Africa, maybe mostly I'm familiar with East Africa. So when you go to East part of Africa, you're going to see that a lot of Indians own gas stations.
Gas station, that's right.
Yes.
Wow, that's a good one.
Doing really well with that.
Think about it, that's not too surprising, it's the Filipinos. When you look at the medical field, most of the nurses.
Yeah, Filipinos.
They get into nursing.
For me, my observation of the Filipinos, most of them are into healthcare, right?
Yes,
doing
healthcare.
Nurses, but also physical therapies. I've seen a lot of Filipinos who are physical therapists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So that's the top 3 amongst the major list.
Yes.
So let me talk about the top 3 amongst people of African descent. This means Caribbeans are included, Africans are included, African Americans, Black Americans are included in this list as well.
Yes.
Here's the top 3. The top 3, right at the top there is South Africa. South Africans have the highest household income of any Black, melanated population in this country. Disclaimer. South Africans also comprise of black people and white people.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a mix there.
There's a mix.
So what I'm guessing is that there's a huge population of South Africans that left apartheid back in the day, got their wealth from South Africa and they relocated to the States and then they just opened up businesses here. That's what I'm guessing happened. When I think about it, most South Africans that I know, and I did know a bunch of South Africans, they own businesses, all of them. And here's the surprising part. They're overall number 6 on the whole list.
Oh, the list, wow.
Of the entire list, they were number 6. Now that one really surprised me, even more than the Taiwanese.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
I didn't even think of that either.
Yeah, so that's what I'm guessing is that there are a bunch of people that left apartheid back in the day.
Yes.
When apartheid was falling apart, they relocated, brought all their wealth to the States to start a new life.
Yes.
That's what I think happened. Now, number 3 of people of African descent is the Ghanaian community.
Yes. Yes.
And overall, on the whole list, they came number 55.
55.
Ghanaians. That also makes sense.
It does.
Because when you look at most Ghanaians, what are they? Doctors, lawyers, well accomplished. Dentists.
Yes.
And in tech, in my field, there are a lot of them.
Wow.
And I know a lot of Ghanaians.
Okay.
The number of Ghanaians that make less money than me. Most of them make more money than us. Think about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And then right below the Ghanaian community,
it's Nigerians.
That also makes a lot of sense.
It does. It does.
And overall on the whole
Nigerians,
list,
for me in general, the way I view Nigerians, most of them are risk takers.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They know how to hustle.
Yes.
They know where they come from.
Yes.
They respect where they're coming from.
That's right.
If you've seen poverty, you know how to survive anywhere.
Anywhere. That's right.
Because Nigeria is not easy.
It's not easy because I think part of it is because it's a very overpopulated African country, right?
Yeah, personally I've never been there. So
I've never been there either. It's just we hear people say that, oh, Nigeria is...
Yes, Nigeria is tough, it's not easy.
From Nigerians, actually.
From Nigerians themselves. Yes. And when you see them coming to the States or Europe, you see them being very aggressive in how they pursue opportunity.
They take their education very seriously.
Very seriously. Yes. And we're going to get into that in a second before I complete this list. And the last and final one is African Americans. These are black people, you know, most of the generation was born here. Yeah. Right?
That's right.
Black Americans, African Americans.
Yeah, from here.
And on the entire list, they come in number 89. When you compare Ghanaians, Nigerians, so we're 55, number 56, and then we have African Americans all the way at number 89. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is this. This is not to disparage any ethnic groups or anything. I'm trying to make a point. It makes a lot of sense why we have more Nigerian students in our group than we do have African Americans. We don't have any African American students in our course. I think part of it has a lot to do with relatability. Yeah. Maybe they cannot relate to us. Yes. I don't know.
I believe so.
I believe so. That could be part of it, which is okay. You know, I'm open to working with anybody. If you see the value in working with us, then, you know, give us a call. Let's talk. Yes. But it makes a lot of sense because there's a big misconception that Africans make less money than Black Americans overall. Let's remove entertainers, because that's a small percentage. Let's remove athletes. That's a small percentage. Let's remove musicians. That's a small group. There are 45 million, I would say, African Americans in this country. Yes. And out of the 45 million, maybe only 5% of that population is those people. Let's be generous. Let's say 10%.
10%.
So
it sounds right.
Right. So the 90% that is struggling offsets the group, the 10% that is a bunch of millionaires. It offsets that. So we're talking about averages here. This is not to say that there are no African Americans that are well accomplished. We live in Atlanta.
Yes, a lot of African Americans are doing really well in Atlanta. Yes.
Everywhere you go, like there's rich,
they own businesses.
Rich Black Americans everywhere. They own their own businesses. They're highly accomplished, very wealthy.
Yes. But educated.
But when you look at the average, they make less than Africans. Right. And that makes a lot of sense. The Africans that come here are actually middle class. Right? There are very few Africans that are in poverty in this country. Very few. right? And if they are, they're probably like 10%.
That a lot of people who are coming from Africa already coming from families that are doing good, because there's no way somebody who's coming from Africa, from a very poor family, can afford even a plane ticket to come to this country.
You gotta afford to get on that plane.
Yeah.
That's right. So anyway, after doing this research, we're getting to the point here. I also thought about this article that I saw this week, Joyce, that said this year has seen the highest rate of inflation this country has ever seen in decades.
Wow.
Maybe it was 30 years or something. Highest rate of inflation in 1 year. Do you know what the rate of inflation was?
No, I don't know.
6%.
Wow.
I think 6.2%.
Wow.
Here's exactly what this means. What this means is that if you have $1,000 saved in your account right now, that $1,000 has gone down in purchasing power down to $940.
So it's depreciated.
If you have, did I do that right? 6%, right?
Yeah, 6%.
Okay, out of 1,000.
Yes.
What is 6% of 1,000? It's $60 actually.
$60.
So 6% of
1,000
is $60. So your money has lost $60.
Oh, so you subtract $60 from 1,000.
From 1,000. Okay. Now you're $940.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So at $1,000 is not too bad. But let's say you have $10,000 in savings. That's where things start getting crazy. That $10,000 in your account right now is actually worth $9,400 because it's lost $600.
Wow.
6% of 10,000 is $600. So what does this mean in the grand scheme of things? The point that you were trying to tell me earlier today was a lot of people like to hold on to money.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with holding on to your savings.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
They're scared of taking that chance, taking that risk.
Yeah, it's fear. That's really what it is.
What I'm saying is that while you are holding on to your coins,
yes,
and you fear investing those coins, your money is going to lose purchasing power anyway. The best way to hedge against that inflation is to invest into a business.
That's right.
Not into stock. Yes, stock works.
Yes.
But the gains in stock will probably be like 5-7%. That's just enough to offset the inflation.
Right.
So you're basically even. So when inflation erodes your money, you're basically even. Okay. You're right back to where you were before inflation struck. Invest that 10 grand into a business, then in a year from now, that 10 grand is going to make you 100,000.
It's going to make you more money. But then the thing is that a lot of people don't see it that way.
They don't see it that way.
Yeah.
And that's the point I'm trying to make with this list that I did a research on, is that all these people, the reason why they have high household income is because they're risk takers and they invested.
Yeah, the people that he just mentioned, the Jewish, the Indians, the Nigerians, the Ghanaians, the Taiwanese.
Yes.
Yeah, they have one thing in common.
Yeah.
And that's investing.
They know how to invest in business.
They know how to invest in business.
They understand the value of investing in business rather than holding on to money.
Yes.
Let me start with the top three group first. The Jewish community, the Indians, and the Taiwanese. When you look at these people, they typically invest in businesses that are capital intensive. So you look at 7-Eleven, Dunkin' Donuts. We didn't even mention that. A lot of Indians own Dunkin' Donuts in Atlanta. Right?
We have a Dunkin' Donuts right here.
Yeah, exactly. That's owned by
our neighbor.
Do you know who owns that?
Indians, yes.
So with the Dunkin' Donuts, right? Do your research. You will see, in order for you to get a franchise business in Dunkin' Donuts or any franchise, whether McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, it requires a lot of money. Minimum for any franchise, we're looking at maybe $150,000 all in, right? And then there are all these franchise fees that you got to pay after the fact, and it's not cheap. That's the bottom line. And the potential earnings for that is what? Per store, we're looking at maybe between $3,000 and $5,000 per day. Now, similarly for the people that get into nursing, that get into becoming a doctor, a dentist, it requires years of schooling, lots of money, probably a lot of student loan debt. So looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars.
That is invested into the education.
That is invested into your education. Before you start making maybe $250,000 to 500,000. Sometimes some practices, some dental practices make $1 million a year. You see what I'm saying? So the reason why we're giving you these numbers is we're trying to give you some kind of perspective, right? On if you get into the home care business and you invest your, let's say, 10 to 12,000, you too can potentially start making, $150,000 a year. Yes. Sometimes even $500,000 a year, just from a $10,000 investment and good process and good skills. That's really all you need. So you're not looking to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars at all, like all these people have to do when they set up a franchise business or when they go to school and accumulate a lot of debt. So in the grand scheme of things, $10,000 investment at the low end, even if you make $100,000 a year, you 10x your money.
Good money. Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And maybe you start making $100,000 a year in profit after year 3. That's an excellent return on investment. Most of you don't even make $100,000 a year, So those are potential earnings. And of course, potential earnings have a lot to do with your work ethic.
Right.
A lot of people just want to get into the business, not put in any work, and then right? People are lazy.
Yeah.
They want to get into this business and then just maybe work 1 hour a week and then expect to make 100,000. No.
You gotta put work.
You gotta put in the work.
A lot of work.
Yep.
You invest and you gotta put in work.
You gotta invest and you gotta put in the work. So what you're gonna get in return for, let's say, $10,000 investment and a little bit of hard work can result in 6 figures easily. After year 3. Maybe in year 1 you're not making that much money. Maybe you're only making $1,500 a month. That's a lot of money on the side. And we never encourage people to quit their job before that business starts making good money.
Apart from just working hard and investing, there are also other qualities that people need to have, like, for example, discipline. A lot of people are not disciplined. Some people are very easily distracted. So if you're that type of person that is not that disciplined,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work for you. So you need that. You need discipline. You need to be focused, dedicated. And one other thing is also you have to be passionate as well. When you're passionate about something, that also leads to the hard work and wanting to achieve.
That's right. One of the last point here that I noticed is that motivation is not enough. I've seen a lot of people that get excited in the first couple of weeks, and then once the motivation wears off, they crash. They crumble like a cheap chair. You know what sustains you? Discipline, like you said. That's the only thing that will save you. Discipline and patience. That's the only thing that will sustain you. Because there will be times where you have no clients and you're running on fumes and you want to quit. It happens to everybody.
So there are other 3 P's which we have already mentioned. Passion is part of it. Patience is part of it, and perseverance. Also. Yes.
Absolutely.
You gotta have that as well.
Absolutely.
And then also, in addition to that, another thing that you're gonna observe amongst those 3 ethnic groups that we're talking about, the Jewish, Indians, and Taiwanese, one thing that they all have in common is they work together.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's so true.
That's also part of what makes them be successful. Because I've never seen a homeless Jewish, I've never seen a homeless Indian, I've never seen a homeless Taiwanese.
That is so true.
These people work together, do things together, and this is why they're successful. And unfortunately, we don't have that as black people or Africans.
We've got too many traumas, In fact, I saw a post on social media the other day that says, when the Indian community comes to this country, migrates to this country, they mortgage a mansion in the best neighborhood of their city or town, and then they all invite their close relatives to live together, save a bunch of money, and then they all invest into a pot, and then open up a franchise, and then all of them go work at that Dunkin' Donuts. But our people, we get too many traumas that we cannot get along.
In addition to what you're saying is that when they find his good neighbors. Most cases, good neighborhoods have good schools.
Good schools.
So they send their kids to some of
the best
schools.
Yeah.
They do everything together.
Absolutely. Yes. Everything works out.
Yes.
Because they figured it out. That's why they're number 2 on that list. Because they know something we don't know. Anyway, in closing, I hope you got some value in this video. And be sure to check out our course below this video that will teach you how to start and grow a non-medical home care agency. If you still have any questions, go ahead and schedule some time. We want to talk to you and talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.